If Abians are not careful, they will lose Alex Otti to these hyenas, lions, and tigers that are gathering already to feast on your common treasury. If you are not careful, if you allow this political jamboree, charade, narratives, and all of these things happening now to continue, you don't cut these guys to size, you will go back to where you are coming from. I have said it everywhere. I do not think that there is any Nigerian governor, dead or alive, that has scratched the surface of what is called transformational leadership. The most anybody would have done is 25%. But I can tell you there have been a few states where a disruptor has come into play and ensured that there is disruption. It may not be tagged 100% transformation, but it can be tagged that disruption, taking it away from the cleaners, removing the carpet of the regular power brokers and giving it to a new set and putting smiles and making leadership simplified. Some persons have done it. Right? And that's what I think Alex Otti is doing, disrupting the space and ensuring that whoever takes over from him can have a better play. Because Alex is miles apart of what the former governors have done. Guess what? It is these former governors that are now gathering and empowering this misfit, this arrogant, proud fellow called Benjamin Kalu to begin to make very, very stupid statements. And there are people following him everywhere and giving him attention. And people like Doris Ogala can be used to and nobody is shouting down at him. I have stayed away from it. But somehow I just need to remind you. You guys are toying with something. If care is not taken, you will lose Alex Otti's leadership disruption that is causing now. And that is the same disruption that happened in Anambra, where Anambra can never have a governor like Ukpebolo, and Ukpebolo like governor. It is almost forbidden in that state. Where an Ododo like personality can no longer be governor. We may have a disagreement with Charles Chukwuma Soludo, but at least he is not to be seen as a pushover. He has an address. He has background. There's somewhere it's coming from. Where is Ododo coming from? Where is Ukpebolo coming from? That is what Alex Otti is trying to provide for Abias. And then you are allowing Orji Kalu, Orji, that spent 8 years as governor, that his government was now nicknamed Mamaocracy, where it was his mother that was literally running the state. The mother was giving appointments and contracts, and anything you want to do in the state has to be from his mother. He left there and was indicted by the anti-graft agency. He went to jail. He's an ex-convict. But of course, the Supreme Court did his magic, and you rewarded him with Senate, with a senatorial slot. How will you not think that he is the best in after sliced bread? Suddenly, this same Orji Kalu, he's not the one talking and saying that what did you do, sir? What did you do? People, when you rewarded someone like that, a criminal like that with senatorial, whether it's a zone that gave it to him or it's a district, but I don't care. But Abians allowed somebody like that to go to the Senate after 8 years of failed governorship leadership. He couldn't do anything. He stole. He's a thief. He could not account for monies that were in his hands, that were put. Then he brought in T.A. Orji. Orji that was also now had a government that was not run by his own son. For Orji Kalu, it was his mother. T.A. Orji, his son, failed woefully. Then Ikpeazu came. Ikpeazu, literally, there was a nobody that you thought that he would. My people in Benin, they say you will remember where the rain beat you and where the sun dried you. Ikpeazu forgot. When you allow someone like Ikpeazu to be made ambassador, right? And then you thank Tinubu with, you don't know what you are doing. This is where the problem lies. You don't know what you are doing. All of these seeds help to become weeds in your growth and development. Abia is way behind all other states in the southeast. And now a man is providing some destruction, giving you your first electric bus, your first pack, as in car pack, first. And then somebody is talking shit, and all of you are not shutting him down. Doris Ogala have the guts to carry camera to face herself and begin to say nonsense. Orji Kalu is again allowing Benjamin Kalu to be moving around in Abia with boys and with people, and they said he's coming to do what? These are hyenas, lions, and tigers. See, pain, discretion, how do they call that for English? Disgruntledness is not a leadership skill. Anger is not a leadership experience. Say we are coming, you did this. We. It has never worked in any place. It has to be pure, calculated, competent capacity built and put together. You're allowing all of these people. All they want is back to power, because they know allowing Otti to finish his 8 years, the dangers are that he's going to bring somebody not in the arcade, and that will be the end of their political journey. Stop all of this. If you have big platform, it's not my platform. Speak out, use your mouth to talk. Shut these people down, curse them. Stop empowering them. I've said it here before. My mentor was one that said it. He said that anything you reward, you repeat. Anything you reward, you repeat. A man has failed. There is no reason sending him to the Senate. Senate has now become a place where people that are failed as governors go there to retire continue to earn money, and then nobody is bothered about it. It's painful. Sometimes I say I don't want to talk. I couldn't even sit to camera and waka say make I don't tell you. You will lose Otti to an idiot like the three former governors since 1999, and you will remember where you are coming from. I never know where you are going. Go and ask Edo State if they are happy about the charlatan that they gave governorship to. That came because of disgruntled politicians and people of some level of influence. They were angry, and then they said they don't care whoever is coming. May they give them. See the man where they use pain and anger and discontentness give power. This is a leadership skill. He is failing. They never want to talk. They say may they give him time. What has he done? You think all this one is doing? People are not secure. They are kidnapping people on a daily basis, and the man is quiet, deaf, dumb, tone deaf, and doesn't care about what you think. He has also now engaged some goats in the government to be talking anyhow. Look at what the Commissioner for Information said today. After all of this speed of embarrassment that the state is causing, if you not open an eye, fight for your life, you will go back to where you are coming from. Let's bet, according to Bevel, let's bet.
I'll work for APC to win. We work for him to have won in 2023. And we are not going to do that again. We work for our party to win. If he has done better, I don't know about that. Because you can see that what I did in 2 years as a governor, the records are there for you to see. With the money Alex Otti received in 4 months is what I received in 8 years. That is the truth. So what he has done, because he's just repainting and rebuilding the roads I built as a governor the last in 1999 and 2007. I have not seen any new major road taking place.
Well, I am not going to be saying much because the first guy that spoke actually did a lot of justice to what I wanted to say. But then, for the very first time in many years, Abia State people are watching a sitting governor being attacked, not because he failed as a governor, not because salaries are unpaid, not because the state is collapsing, but because he is performing and surviving without any political godfathers. I mean, in Nigerian politics, this is completely strange. In what many political class have turned politics to, this is completely dangerous. Now, Dr. Alex Otti did not come into power through the normal traditional Abia State political pipelines. You know, he did not inherit the structures built on intimidations, patronage, and loyalty for cash. He came in at a moment when Abians were emotionally exhausted. They were angry and they were desperate for sanity. And many people voted against the past, not necessarily for the perfection. And now, barely settling into his first term, the pressure on him is already overwhelming. You will see former enemies suddenly turning to friends. Old rivals are suddenly united. Politicians who could not agree on anything for years have now found common purpose. And that common purpose is simple. Alex Otti must not be allowed to get a second term. But why? Why is there so much coordinated pressure to remove a man many Abians believe has governed with passion, discipline, and visible results? Why are Orji Kalu, Okezie Ikpeazu's camp, the likes of Benjamin Kalu, and others' interests circulating at the same time? Why is the second term conversation already violent, emotional, and desperate? To me, this is not ordinary opposition. This is elite panic. Now, let's throw more light about this whole thing. In Nigerian politics, there is an unspoken agreement. Everyone must eat, everyone must be carried along. But Alex Otti broke that very agreement. He governs like someone who does not owe anybody. He speaks like someone who is not afraid of political ghosts. He runs government like a technocrat inside a political jungle. That makes him dangerous. Not dangerous to Abia people, but dangerous to old political careers. A successful second term for Alex Otti would mean, first, clear historical comparison. Secondly, permanent exposure of past incompetence. And lastly, political irrelevance for recycled leaders. And politicians fear irrelevance more than prison. I mean, this is not personal. This is historical. Orji Kalu is not just a former governor. He is a political brand. His area thrived on power, visibility, influence, money, whatever, and personality. But history is not written by noise, it is written by outcomes. If Alex Otti completes 2 terms with measurable progress, he talk about the roads, physical discipline, institutional stability, then history will quietly but brutally ask, what exactly did the loud years achieve? That is why Orji's or Kalu's comment about Otti painting previous project is not analysis, it is an anxiety speaking. And the claim collapses instantly because Alex Otti did not succeed Orji or Kalu. Okezie Ikpeazu governed for 8 years and Abians suffered deeply during that period, just like what happened during the period of Orji or Kalu, where the mother was accused of masterminding all sort of political activities in the Abia State as at that time. So trying to credit Otti's work to Orji or Kalu is politically laughable and the public knows it. Now, talking about Ikpeazu's biggest enemy is not Alex Otti, it is memory. Abians remember salary areas, pensioners crying, roads as symbols of suffering. Every functioning system today quietly embarrasses that era. So the pressure to stop Otti is also an attempt to freeze history, to stop comparison from becoming permanent. Talking about Benjamin Kalu, his ambition is real but complicated. He is young, articulated, nationally positioned, but APC in Abia is not one family. Inside APC, Orji Kalu wants his brother installed, Benjamin Kalu wants the ticket, Abuja wants control, Hope Uzodinma represent federal interest, and they are in the same party but not on the same page. Now, some of this political class, the old folks from Abia State coming together, is not actually a political unity. No, it is not love, but it is a strategic hatred of the governance of Alex Otti, which many of them do not want to continue. And I ask this, is this a crime to be a good person? Is it a crime to govern the people with the passion in Nigeria? Now, let's be honest. What has Alex Otti done right? Restored physical discipline, paid salaries and pensions responsibly, visible infrastructure revival, reduced reckless spending, improved governance tone and order, removed godfather intimidation. All of these are always the weapon the politicians use against the people. And what has he done wrong? He slows grassroots political consolidation, overconfidence in performance, underestimation of coordinated opposition. Because in Nigeria, performance attracts enemies faster than failure. And this is where I punch to Alex Otti that he should be very, very careful and alert for, because these people are coming with force. Yes, many may agree that P2B influenced Otti's victory in 2023, but 2027 will not be an emotional protest election. Emotion fades, structure remains. Hope Uzodinma's visit signals federal interest, not friendship, and federal interest really aligns with state independence. APC unity, as much as Abia State is concerned, is an illusion. What exists is temporal alignment for conquest, to conquer Alex Otti and his good governance, nothing more. And let me share more light on why Alex Otti must play a strong politics now. The truth of the matter is that politics is not prayer. It is numbers, it is structure, it is preparation. 70% of Nigerians, educated or not, can be swayed by money, fear, propaganda, and Otti must close political gaps, strengthen House of Assembly loyalty, protect judicial independence, build grassroots machinery, and lastly, anticipate rigging, not react to it. This is practical survival politics, and this he must do. To me, 2027 Abia State governorship election is going to be historically the most overzealous election. It is going to be aggressively monetized, fiercely litigated, emotionally manipulated. We have a tripodal battle. Alex Otti defending performance, Orji Kalu installing his brother, Benjamin Kalu fighting for APC ticket. This is not about ideas. It is about who controls the system. Now, this is also very important. Remember, Abia's 2023 election was nearly hijacked. It took courage, resistance, and integrity to stop it. 2027 will be worse. In fact, expect pressure, expect manipulation, expect federal interference. And to my Abia brothers and sisters, are you going to watch these folks? Are you going to watch these people come after the treasure you guys have for the first time experienced? Look, this is not me praising anybody, but the difference is clear. Now, these are the strong 10 reasons why Abians must re-elect Alex Otti. Coming from his governance so far. First is proven competence in governance. Secondly is physical discipline and transparency. The man has been transparent. Third is salary and pension responsibility. We hear about the news. Fourth is visible infrastructure progress. He commissions virtually every week, and that is awesome. Fifth is institutional order and sanity. Sixth, reduced godfather politics. This is very important. Seventh, comparative at performance of last 3 governors. 8, courage in defending electoral mandates. 9, best realistic option among all contenders. The last one is continuity to consolidate progress, not restart chaos. At this point, Abia people must stop pretending this is normal political context. No, it is not. This is not about finding a perfect man, because perfection does not exist in politics or in governance. Alex Otti is not flawless, and no honest supporter should claim he is. But governance is not a beauty contest. It is a choice between progress and regression, between consolidation and disruption, between order and chaos. The uncomfortable truth is this: Abia does not currently have a viable alternative to Alex Otti. What he represents. Not because opposition is illegal. No, not because ambition is a crime, but because those presenting themselves as alternatives are not driven by vision, ideology, or governance philosophy. They are driven by opportunism, by wounded pride, by fear of political extinction, and by desperation to re-enter a system that has moved on without them. Moved on better without them. Let us be brutally honest. Those lining up against Alex Otti are not asking, how do we make Abia better? They are asking, how do we stop this man from finishing what he started? They are not coming to, improve governance, but they are coming to interrupt it. They are not going to offer continuity. They are going to offer distraction. They are not presenting alternatives. They are presenting the past in no packaging. This is why former enemies suddenly discovered unity. They discovered love all of a sudden. And this is why bitterness now wears the mask of concern. This is why propaganda is louder than policy. Alex Otti's real crime is not incompetence, it is independence. He governs without begging political laws. How do I do this? Are you going to take this? Just like the miserable political crisis happening in Rivers. Alex Otti spends without sharing state resources as political compensation to anybody. He governs as if Abia belongs to its people, not a few powerful family members. That is why he is under attack. Now, if Abia replaces Alex Otti in 2027, it will not be because he failed. It will be because the state allowed opportunists to weaponize money, fear, and manipulation. And history will be very, very unforgiving, because continuity will matter. You do not abandon a functioning system to experiment with desperation. You do not interrupt recovery because some people feel threatened by it. You do not destroy momentum to satisfy elite ego. Alex Otti may not be perfect, but he represents stability, good governance, structure, and sanity in political environment, whereas others represent political hunger, political thuggery, ambition without restraint, and power without purpose. And Abia people must ask themselves one final question: do we want to build on what is working, or do we want to restart suffering for the sake of political recycling? Because elections have consequences, and if Abia makes the wrong choice in 2027, the price will not be paid by politicians, but it will be paid by the ordinary people. That comes to the end of this very episode. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification so you would always get notified whenever we drop a new update. And leave us with a comment. What do you think about this whole Alex Otti, Orji or Kalu, and Benjamin Kalu, and so rest of them? So thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.